Hello friends, and welcome to Top of the Stack MTG. Today we're going to talk about Frontier Mana Bases, Part 3. We already talked about monocolored decks and the mana that they can use, and we talked about allied dual lands. Now we're going to talk about the enemy dual lands. So the allied dual lands were colors that were next to each other on the color wheel. The enemy dual lands are colors that are not next to each other on the color wheel. For instance, you could do white and black, right? That would be enemy colors. The first one, there's 5 total that I want to talk about. But first I should talk about the fact that the allied colors have fetch lands. The enemy colors do not have fetch lands. I was secretly hoping that they would print the enemy colored fetch lands in Amonkhet, but they announced them for Modern Masters 2017, which is great. I'm really glad they're reprinting them. It's going to bring down the price. Modern people can go crazy with them. It's wonderful. I just wish they would have done it in Amonkhet, because then they'd be a lot more out there. The prices would go down even more, I believe. But either way, it's a good thing, so I'm glad that they did it. So, of the 5 dual lands, number 1 for the enemy colors is going to be Battlefield Forge. And actually, of course, there's 5 different versions of this text in all the different colors. It states add 1 to your mana, tap to add 1 generic to your mana pool, or tap and add a mountain or a plain to your mana pool. Battlefield Forge deals 1 damage to you. So this is a pain land, is what they call it, the nickname for it, because it hurts you if you need to use it for a specific type of basic land. If you can just go with generic mana, it doesn't hurt you, and it doesn't come in tapped. That's the reason I made it number 1, because it's versatile and fast, and that's great. So number 1 is the pain lands. Number 2, I'm going to go with the first one being Blooming Marsh. Blooming Marsh enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or fewer other lands. Now, they don't have to be basic lands. Any land will count toward those 2. So these do not come in tapped sometimes, but a lot of times they do come in tapped. So that's why these took the number 2 spot. And tap, and you can add 1 of the 2 colors to your mana pool. So they're very good a lot of the time, but if they come in tapped because you've got a bunch of lands already played, they sort of lose a little bit of value. So that's number 2. Number 3 is Forsaken. No, let's not do that. We're going to go to Hissing Quagmire. So number 3 is what people call a man land. I don't really like that name. I get the alliteration, man land, but I think it's more of a creature land. They don't turn into men, they turn into creatures. So creature land, but they enter the battlefield tapped. So that's kind of a negative to it. But they also have the power, tap and add 1 of 2 colors. Or in this case, you can spend 3, a generic, a black, and a green, and Hissing Quagmire becomes a 2/2 black and green elemental creature with death touch until the end of the turn. It's still a land. So that's neat. And these creature lands get a lot of play. Specific decks really love these. They can help with win conditions if you don't have a lot of creatures. They're really neat. I almost considered making them number 2 just because of how often they're used. But if we're specifically just talking about mana fixing, the fact that they come in tapped makes it kind of rough. So that's number 3, the creature lands. Now, number 4, we're going to go with Jungle Hollow. Jungle Hollow enters the battlefield tapped. When Jungle Hollow enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life. These originally, I think, were printed in Khans, and then they were reprinted in Fate Reforged. They're all right. They always come in tapped, but you do gain a life when they come in. Of course, they're also available in the allied colors. So they're affordable. They're nice. but they're number 4 because they come in tapped. And then number 5, of course, is Forsaken Sanctuary. Forsaken Sanctuary enters the battlefield tapped. Tap to add one of the 2 colors to your mana pool. There's no upside to it except that it is a dual land. They're good mana fixing. It's just hard that they come in tapped. That's why it's number 5. No upside other than the fact that they can be used for 2 different colors. And those are the enemy dual lands. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. Definitely leave a comment. I don't get a lot of comments. It would be really nice to be able to have a bit of a discussion about these things. And have a great day.